Welcome to Channel 18 News. I'm Jim Rogers. Hopkins County Sheriff's investigators worked quickly to solve a burglary case and arrested 3 individuals Thursday in connection with a recent incident. According to information given to KSST by criminal investigator Dennis Finley, Chase Allen Harrison, age 23, had previously lived at a residence located at 6151 State Highway 19 South and was aware that the current property owners would be out of town on May 10th. With this knowledge, Harrison and cohorts Ashley Gale Wade, age 27, and Lance Allen Warden, age 26, burglarized the property. The trio broke into the home and several buildings, stealing multiple pieces of property, including a boat, an electric range, various tools, and other items. Investigator Finley told KSST that the boat has since been recovered and returned to the victims. The other items are believed to have been pawned off, and the search continues to recover the property. Wade and Warden were both found at a County Road 1134 residence on Thursday. Wade agreed to speak with Chief Criminal Investigator Lewis Tatum, at which time she made a full confession recorded on video. Wade and Warden were then placed into custody, transported to Hopkins County Jail. Harrison, who had been arrested in Lindale, Texas, was picked up by Deputy Joe Hooten and brought back to Hopkins County. Wade and Warden now sit on $30,000 total bond each, $20,000 for burglary of a habitation, $10,000 total for the 2 counts of burglary of a building. At this time of the story's release, bond had not been set for Harrison, who'd been charged with burglary of a habitation, 2 counts of burglary of a building, surety off bond for possession of a controlled substance less than 1 gram. 2 Romanian nationals, a 15-year-old female and a male who claimed to be 19, are in local police custody for fraudulent use of a debit credit card and personal information. Thursday morning at City National Bank, an employee noted a skimmer had been placed on the ATM there. Sulphur Springs police were called. The skimmer that captures debit and credit card numbers was removed. Law enforcement viewed video taken from the ATM and found the female place the skimmer on the machine at 6:25 a.m. Thursday. "We went with a gut reaction," said Police Chief Jay Sanders, and set up a watch on the machine. He said he expected the individual or individuals to return before sunset. Any activity after dark, according to Sanders, would draw attention to the individual. At approximately 7 p.m., the female walked from Davis Street to Atkins to the ATM, where she realized the scanner had been removed from the machine. She retraced her steps, followed by police, to Van Sickle Street, where the pickup car awaited with the male driver. When questioned, the pair gave a Dallas area address. Sanders told KSST News, "They lied to us from the beginning, and we don't believe much of what they told us." He stated that the juvenile is being held in Greenville, the male being held in Hopkins County Jail. Both Homeland Security and ICE have been contacted, according to Sanders. Sanders expects ICE to take over the investigation. The use of the skimmer is unusual in this area, according to Sanders. He stated that with the explosion of technology, he expects more of this type activity, along with other scams, to be attempted locally. He called the local investigation a team effort for Sulphur Springs Police involving patrol and the investigation division. According to Sanders, later Friday, the male individual may have been an individual involved in the same type of offense in Sealy, Texas. Since February of this year, the Sealy Police Department have been looking for a male of Romanian descent who matches the description of the individual arrested here in Sulphur Springs. Local police are checking out the connection. And City National Bank asks anyone who used the ATM downtown between 6:20 a.m. and 11 a.m., only that time period on Thursday, to please call City National Bank. The bank has contacted every customer for whom they had a phone number, but want to be sure that all have been contacted who would have used the machine during that time frame. According to John Sellers with City National Bank, 95% or more have been contacted, but they want to assure all their customers regarding the security of their transactions and the accounts. Superintendent of School Michael Lamb said the district has not received the letter from the federal government informing them of the presidential decree concerning who uses which restroom. He stated that it is hard to say the effect of the president's statement with the local district at this time. The Obama administration is issuing a directive telling every public school district in the country to allow transgender students to use the bathrooms that match their gender identity. The declaration is signed by Justice and Education Department officials with the federal government and describes what schools should do to ensure that none of their students are discriminated against. The law is said to imply that schools that do not abide by the Obama administration's interpretation of the law could face lawsuits or a loss of federal aid. That according to the New York Times. Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick and Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton have responded that Texas will fight the declaration in court. Patrick calls the issue a family issue and that the state will not be blackmailed by the federal government. Patrick's comments were made Friday morning on a national news network. Patrick says the poorest of the poor are affected by the threat to withhold federal funds. He expects homeschooling to increase. Locally, with school districts, KSST will continue to follow that story. Texas voters return to the poll May 24th to cast ballots in a runoff election. In Hopkins County, a runoff for Commissioner's Precinct 1 will determine not only the Republican nominee for the place, but also the ultimate winner. No Democrat has filed for Precinct 1. Also on the Republican ballot will be the District 9 for the Texas Education Board. The runoff election will continue to tie the voter to the party in which they voted in the primary. One cannot cross over from Democrat to Republican or Republican to Democrat during the primary runoff. General elections are open for crossover votes. However, one local runoff election, the May 24th vote, will settle the matter, and that's Precinct 1. Early voting will take place at the Sulphur Springs Independent School District Administration Conference Room, that located on Connolly Street. Hours are 8 to 5. Early voting will begin Monday, May 16th, this next Monday, and continue through Friday. And then, of course, the election day is May 24th. Hopkins County and other area vocational agriculture departments gathered on the campus of Sulphur Springs Independent School District High School, where they participated in a weld-off cook-off. John Holland, vocational agricultural teacher at Sulphur Springs High School, explains.
We've got the barbecue build-off going on today. We've got 11 schools from across local counties. What they've got is they've got 6 hours to build an entire barbecue pit that we provide the cut materials for.
They all using the same materials?
Everybody's using the same materials. They're allowed to customize in whichever way they want to, but for the most part we provide them the same materials, and then they can customize from there.
How many schools do you normally invite to this?
We usually invite 12. We always usually have one cancel last minute, and so 12 is what we normally have, but today we've got 11.
You say it takes 6 hours to do this. What time did they start?
We gave them from 8 to 8:15 to be with their teachers and get some last minute instructions, and then they've got until 2:15, and at that time we'll sound a horn and everybody will have to shut down no matter what the completion is.
How many different types of welders do you have out here?
I have no idea. We've got anything from Lincolns to Millers, from stick welders to wire welders. We've got a good assortment of them.
Okay, most of these schools from around here?
Yes, sir. Most of them are coming from the county. The ones that have made the farthest trip are probably White House and Bland. But aside from that, we're mostly around either Hopkins, Lamar, or Hunt County.
What do they win?
They've got prize packages that Matheson Tri-Gas puts together for us, and we place out 3 teams, the top 3 pits, and then 1 cooking team, which each team, if they want, they could bring a cook in, and they can submit that to be judged as well.
Plan to catch Tuna Does Vegas in downtown Sulphur Springs this week or next week. Main Street Theater. That's Sulphur Springs' original center for live community theater, children's workshops, and a season of stage plays every year. And none of their shows are more entertaining than this one. 16 characters played by just 3 actors, elaborate costumes, and some very fast, quick changes. Brian Dieterding and David Woody stopped by to explain.
Right, we have this weekend with a Sunday matinee, and then next Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Well, Brian, tell us something about your characters.
I have 5 characters that I do. In the first tuna play that we did at the theater, I have carried on 2 of those characters, and then there are 3 new characters that I do, and they are an awful lot of fun to do. It really stretches. You got to use your imagination a little bit, but it stretches me as far as being able to remember whose character I am when I come out on the stage. I'm in a different costume, and obviously I can't see myself, so I just have to remember who I am.
So maybe you have it written somewhere and you glance down and see the current character at the moment. I think that'd be too much switching, though. So who is, may I ask, your favorite of the characters?
My favorite character, I think, is Helen. She's a waitress in a diner.
Okay.
She's fun to play. She is always very upbeat and positive about everything. My most familiar character is Arliss, and I relate to him. He's kind of like who I am personally, so he's easy to do. But Helen is a little more challenging, but fun in that way.
Okay. And David, who do you play?
Well, I play Bertha, who is in this show married to Arliss. I play I Need a Good One, who is the waitress partner with Helen.
Okay.
I play Pearl, who is Bertha's aunt, and Ch.18, who is a security individual at a Las Vegas hotel.
Okay.
And then Leonard Childress.
Leonard. Okay.
Who is Arliss's boss.
Okay.
At the radio station, which has 270 watts.
Okay. Well, it's the center of the universe in their world.
Mm-hmm. Arliss is the #1 show with 70 and up viewers or listeners. They have 70.
Okay. Wonderful. Well, that's very good for some who might not have that many. So just tell us kind of about Tuna from the very start, in case people are just new to the concept of Tuna, Texas.
Well, Tuna, there are 4 Tuna plays. The first one is Greater Tuna, and then the second one is Tuna Christmas, and then a continuation kind of that storyline, Tuna Does Vegas, and then there's Red, White, and Tuna.
Okay.
Which takes place, obviously, during the 4th of July holiday.
But still at the radio station in Tuna, Texas?
Well, the radio station is kind of where they start.
Yeah, of course.
But Tuna, Texas is where everything happens.
Okay.
Tuna Does Vegas is when everybody goes out of town.
Okay. So they really do go to Vegas. Well, there's got to be someone else that is carrying some of the characters.
Yep, Philip Bickford.
Okay.
And Philip is playing Vera. And Joe Bob. Joe Bob is the local community theater director.
Okay.
Dee Dee Snavely. Dee Dee Snavely sells weapons, used weapons. And she's an interesting character all of her own. Vera is the richest person in town. And Charlene, who is the daughter of Bertha. Now, when we did Tuna Does Christmas, we had 4 cast members. Landon Mabe was the 4th. But Landon was unable to participate in this incarnation, so his characters got rolled over to the rest of us.
So not only voice changes for the various characters, but your costume changing.
Oh, costume changing, and your physical movements have to change, because when I play Pearl, I'm unknown age, but I'm somewhere above, probably north of 80.
Okay. North of, I like that.
But, and then, like with Philip, he's playing Vera, who is Bertha's age, and then he plays Charlene, who is my daughter. And then Brian is playing Arliss, and then he goes to Helen. So Arliss is not retirement age, but
close. And Helen is younger, a waitress.
So there are many people back there helping y'all.
Oh yeah, the quick changes. Some of them are literally less than a minute. You have to change completely from one character to another, and we'll be backstage doing lines as our character while we're being changed over to the next character who's going to come walking on stage.
Well, people have got to see this. You won't believe it until you see it.
Right. It's behind the scene crews are great, and I get the opportunity to work with my daughter. She helps me change my clothes, but there's a whole crew, a whole cast of people behind the scenes that just help make this happen, tearing off wigs and mustaches and dresses and everything. It's amazing back there.
So last night went smoothly.
It was opening night.
Define smoothly. No, it went good. We got through it.
We're looking forward to seeing this play.
We did.
So tonight, and then 6 more chances after that. So do not miss it. Tuna Does Vegas, downtown, 227 Main Street, in case you still don't know where the theater is. And the door is wide open for you. Please go by there. I know David's been working on sets, and everybody's been working nonstop on this.
Brian helped me on the set. There's a major piece. We have functioning elevator doors. And Brian did the final engineering on those, so they work nicely.
So when y'all survive this, then we'll be moving on to the next play. But let's don't talk about that yet. I just want to stay in the moment. But I also want to talk about David Woody, because there's a whole bunch about you that I think people ought to know. Like, you just didn't start getting into acting when you came to Sulphur Springs.
No, I'd been doing theater for a long time. When I got to Sulphur Springs, I had already been working in theaters in Tennessee, North Carolina, Georgia, other theaters in Texas.
But you are not a native Texan.
No, I'm not.
Okay, that's all right.
I've been accepted now. I've been here over 25 years, so I guess it's okay.
And you were a child actor?
I suppose you could say that. Yeah. I was involved in the first production when I was 10. Well, my first production actually was when I was between 5 and 6. It was my elementary school, first grade. Yeah, we did a nutrition play.
Okay.
And it was based on the Dragnet series. And I was playing the Joe Friday type character, but I was actually a piece of toast. So that was my first time.
Well, you had some pretty good connections when you did that play, Inherit the Wind, still as a youngster.
The local theater that I started in was the Cumberland County Playhouse, and that's Cumberland County, Tennessee. Crossville, Tennessee is the town. And we had a theater that was founded then by Paul and Mary Crabtree and their family. And Paul Crabtree was a Broadway actor, and his wife Mary. And Paul Crabtree originated roles on Broadway in Oklahoma and The Iceman Cometh. And they had a dream that they wanted to have a large, very high quality theater in that part of the world. It's a beautiful country. It's the Cumberland Plateau as you're stepping up into the Smoky Mountains. And they sold stock to the community. You could buy shares of the theater at $10 a share. And my mom and my father were always real big on arts, and we all were reading before we started school and that sort of thing, and programs that they felt were worthy we got to and be involved in. And so I got a chance to be a small extra part in that show. And Paul Crabtree's son, Joe Bob, was the director, and he was also playing the Clarence Darrow character from Inherit the Wind. And during my big scene, which was just a small stand-in part, I had to run through the courtroom, kind of creating a little bit of a disturbance. And as I was running across the stage, it was a full proscenium stage, and they had an orchestra pit because they did full musicals and all that. And the orchestra pit was covered. Well, that part of the stage broke, and my foot went through. And Joe Bob came over and ad-libbed and covered it and pulled me up out of the hole and sent me on my way. That was my big stage debut.
Introduction to the real world on stage. Well, and I wish we had a whole bunch of time. I want to say that I ran into you first when KSST was underwriting the shows for a fall festival that community players put on in MASH. It was a huge production. It seemed like there were 50 or 60 people in it.
Yeah, it was a large cast. I had just gotten into town and heard about the theater, and of course immediately went to get involved. Joe McCorkle was directing MASH for that fall festival production, and so I went to auditions and was cast as Hawkeye, and we took off from there. And in fact, one of the shows we did shortly after that was Inherit the Wind. And Joe played the William Jennings Bryan character, and I played the Clarence Darrow character. But that was an amazing time for us in the theater. Over
the years, so many people in our community have been part of plays, and so they kind of come in and out of involvement, but they're almost always in the audience. They're patrons. In fact, we're inviting our listeners to not only attend the plays, as we're mentioning, but get involved with community theater here.
That's the key, is the community, and that's what we're about. We were bouncing around without a home for years before I got involved, and then we ended up with our facility on Main Street, and we've been there for 26 years, and I guess we're the longest continually operating business on that part of the street.
Well, for David and Brian, whom we'll see on stage, and also Pip will see him, and a cast of many, we'll look for you at Tuna Does Vegas downtown at Main Street Theater.
If you have just a second, I wanted to just do a shout out to Landon Mabe. He was in the production before we had 4 people, and unfortunately there was a schedule conflict, or he would be in this one too. He is a senior in high school, graduating this May.
Because he was fabulous.
He was very funny.
Okay.
Yes.
Please join me, and we'll go see Tuna Does Vegas. Thank y'all for coming.
Thank you.
Earlier this week, Deborah Balcom with Hearts of Life brought by a puppy who has yet to be named.
We let the new owners name it, but this is one of what was 9 puppies. We picked up the mom running with a friend on Highway 19 South. There had been 3 of them. One had already been hit and killed, and so we picked up the 2 remaining, and she gave birth to 9 pups, and this is one of them. We've adopted 3, so we still have 7, or rather 6, 6 pups, and this is the only little female. So, and they're 9 weeks old. They've had 2 of their parvo shots. They'll have their 3rd and last one on Saturday. Been wormed twice. They'll be wormed again. And they'll be ready to go for a $90 adoption fee. They'll get a certificate to have them neutered or spayed when they're old enough, and at that time they'll have a rabies shot. So,
now, how old is this one?
She's 9 weeks old.
9 weeks old. All right.
Yep.
So ready to go to a new home.
And she's going to be a rather large pup if you look at the size of those little feet. Mama is not very big. She's a medium-sized white German Shepherd mix, and but Dad is, who knows what Dad was, but these will be little bigger dogs, not tiny by any means, but they're just nice pups, need to go. So
And typical puppy doing typical puppy things?
Absolutely, absolutely. There, if you do adopt a puppy, just count on chewing and digging and that type of thing, because that's what they're going to do, and that's what puppies do. But she's learning all about baths. She's had 3 baths now in her 9 weeks, and she rides in the car well. She rode in the back of my truck inside, laid down. That was all good. So anyway, we're teaching them the basics so that when somebody picks them up, they can just put them in their car and take them on home, and they'll be ready to go. So
very good.
Yeah.
Obviously, getting one this young, you can train it to be in the house or
outside,
whatever.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Have you got an event coming up soon?
We tentatively may have a pet adoption Memorial Day weekend, but that hadn't been finalized yet, so we're not absolutely positive about that. These pups are going to be at Pet Sense during the week at some point, but we haven't got that just yet. We've got to get a volunteer to where we are not all busy to where we can carry them up there. But we were on the square Saturday for the red, white, and brew. So, and we actually adopted one of the pups Saturday evening. So that was a good thing, and it was a fun time. But by Sunday, I was very, very tired after bathing 7 pups and setting up and breaking down and all that. So we were tired, the pups were tired, but we had a good time, and it's always good to get out in public with them. And so,
any specific needs that you have at the Hearts of Life shelter now?
Well, we always need dog food. We always need volunteers. Always need volunteers, and we would hope that maybe this summer, when some of the like the high school age kids maybe have some time, if we can always use somebody just to come out, and when we turn the dogs out to play, just be out there and just play with them, because when there's one volunteer, it's all we can do to get everybody fed and cleaned, and so we don't have a lot of time to spend a long time with each one. So that's always a good thing. And
so volunteers give a little one-on-one time with each one of the animals?
Sure, they can do that. And of course,
what are some of the other things they do?
Changing water, we have to do that very frequently during the summertime, because it obviously gets hot, and that takes a long time just to stand there and fill up a water bucket. So any kind of volunteer help like that is greatly appreciated. And we're about to start on a rather large fencing project, and I'm expecting an estimate on that probably today, and so that will fence our new shelter where our dogs have been moved into, all but I think about 3 are still waiting to be moved into the new barn. But at that time, all of them will be under shelter on concrete, and we're going to fence in that area with several large runs so that a lot of them can go out at one time. And so that's where we'll need volunteers, just to get out there and play with them.
It sounds like there's almost a no vacancy sign up.
Absolutely. I mean, it's just, it's almost like, you can't hardly get your head above water, because, when you're like, oh, wow, we adopted this one, and then we're just like this mama dog, She was going to be hit, or else she was going to be shot by someone out there, and, that's what we do. We rescue them, and, as luck would have it, she was, with child or with children. So, but, they'll go find good homes, and we'll take care of them until they do. So.
And the number again?
439-5019.
Here's Don with sports.
The Lady Cat softball team dropped Game 1 of their regional quarterfinal series to Mansfield Legacy 12-4 Thursday evening in Royce City. And I talked with Lady Cat softball coach David Carrillo.
Well, like I said, going into it, we knew they were going to be good, and we knew they could hit the ball 1 through 9. But, we're good too, and we had some opportunities that, we kind of let slip away. But, I feel like, if we'll play, just a good defensive game, doesn't have to be making just spectacular plays that we just got to make the basic simple plays, and if we can hit the ball when we have runners in scoring positions, like I know we can, we'll be all right. I mean, I look at it as yesterday, it was a loss in game one, but it was a learning experience too for us because we kind of look and see their style, see how they played. When you're really playing, it's different than scouting, and that's for sure. But one of the things that there were some positives. We got a bunch of hits last night. I want to say 14 hits I think I had, and we only struck out one time. So we're putting the ball in play and hitting the ball hard. Defensively, we gotta clean some things up and just do a little bit better, clean our game up and see what happens. But we did have opportunities, and that's all we could ask, to have. And those opportunities are going to come out again tonight. So, you got to be positive and just know that, hey, our kids right now, talking to them this morning, they're not down. They just, they're just ready to go play, and so am I. So, we just got to clean some stuff up. And, again, we had chances. We just weren't able to take advantage of them.
Absolutely. Thought that, with all those hits and only 4 runs, we
were one hit away.
Spot,
we were one hit away from scoring a bunch. Twice I think I can think of in 2 situations where we normally do, and those things happen. Softball, baseball, crazy game. You fail more than you succeed. So it's just one of those times it didn't work out for us. But again, are we a little down? Yeah, but we go back and we know. I told him, I said, there's a reason why they call it a series. One game doesn't make it. So we're going to go out there and go compete and get after them, and hopefully, we can clean some things up that we messed up on last night.
The Wildcats football team is about halfway through with spring football practice. I talked with Wildcats offensive coordinator Matt Young about his goals for spring football and how things were going so far.
2 weeks, we call it a success. Really great. Obviously, we're ahead of where we've been in the past by having it as far as knowledge for the kids. The really neat thing is seeing the number of kids that are able to get reps. A lot of times you get into the fall, you really have to focus on the ones that are going to be on the field most of the time. And everybody gets reps, but we're really able to get a lot of guys a look and see what they can do to help the team from bottom to top, not just the varsity on Friday, but where they're at as sophomores next year and what they need to be doing to continue to develop. So the competitive nature, the attitude of the kids has been outstanding. In talking to other coaches, you really worry about at some point it becoming a grind and not wanting to be out there, but they're actually out there early. We look at our watches 5 minutes before we're scheduled to start, and they're all there. So it's been really great. I'm excited where we are offensively, making progress and understanding the schemes. I told the coach yesterday, 98% of the offense is in. I mean, a ridiculous amount of the offense, and they've got it. Now we got to go back and get better at it. Now we got to take a 6-inch step instead of an 8-inch step, and we got to stem an extra foot to get open. Just little things to work on, but that's the beauty of it is now they got it, and it's exciting. From young to old, we're able to take some younger guys and put them against the older and see if they're ready or see if they're not ready. We're able to get some matchups and see kids who've made great strides in the weight room, how they're doing out there when you actually put the pads on. So really been a great 2 weeks.
What kind of goals did you have for, you may have spoke to some of those already, but what was your hope?
Well, the biggest thing for us was to be physical, and we're addressing that by doing a daily run hole, multiple backs, carrying the ball. I believe there's about 8 guys that carry the ball each day. We have over 20 to 25 linemen that are getting reps, and so for us, we want to see a physical presence from those guys, and we're getting that. And we're getting movement, we're getting blow delivery, pad level, all those things are coming. So that was the number one objective. And then the next thing was to answer a couple of depth questions skill-wise. We're still in the process there, starting to get some things cleaned up, who's made those strides, who's ready to make the plays on Friday night. And really the last thing was to come out with some confidence as a goal, and we're getting that. Yesterday we played overtime. We scored 2 drives, and we didn't score 2 drives. So 50-50 day. There's the day before defense dominated. They had a ton of confidence. The day before that, we had the great day where we were pinned inside the 5 and we had to get out past the 30, and each time we did with a certain group. So those are kind of things that personally I'm really looking for us to assess and to get, and with 2 of those I think we're reaching them, and we got 1 more we're getting closer.
Yeah, offensive line, that's a key to, get those guys developed and, into really good shape. That's probably the key to the whole offense, really.
It's a nice component. I mean, really, with us here, we've talked about it. We need to be able to execute across the board. We can have a great O-line. We had a great O-line 2 years ago and went 5-6. So it's not just about having a great O-line. It's not just having skilled kids. the key for us is the mesh of both. We got to have a quarterback that can deliver a ball. We got to have an O-line that can be sound in the run game, and we got to have some receivers that can make some plays. And then as those things get better, if we have all three of those things, we're good. And then as each one rises, then that team's a little bit better than another team maybe.
The thing that impressed me when I was out there was what good shape the kids are in. I'm used to seeing them in August and guys puking, and you know it's hot, and of course the weather too is great. So
we've had a tremendous spring. I mean, our phrase was "earn it," and we talk about that a lot with them, that you're earning it. And from commitment to being after school to coming in the mornings to what the effort they put forth in the period, physically we've made tremendous strides. The commitment to the track program, and we had over 50 kids go to district track meet. Those kind of kids running and putting in time, it allows them to go out and play at a high level because they're not just trying to survive physically. And as a coach, it's a lot more fun because you're not looking around for somebody who's still breathing, you know, who still doesn't have that look on their face. You can really just pick whose turn it is and let them go make a play.
Good to have pads on too. The week we lose, you know, in August is you don't have pads till Friday.
Yeah, it's nice. The nice thing is a lot of times you leave spring and go, well, that guy's done good, but let's see if he can do it with pads on. And so we're able to walk out of here with a real good idea, not necessarily who's varsity and JV, just kind of a pecking order with guys. Okay, that guy, if he needs to be, depending on the depth, he can handle it. He can do this. Hey, this guy he can start on Thursday night. He can make plays there, and that's and I think the kids are feeling it. They're realizing they get an opportunity to make plays, and lots of different drills set up to where they can show what they can do.
Thanks for watching Channel 18 News and staying with us for this extended version. Have a great evening and a weekend.